A very good morning. Just past 8 by the clock. We are back again with another edition of Breakfast News. This is your comprehensive daily morning 60 minutes of power pack news as you sip your morning tea and coffee enjoying that newspaper. I am Anil Thomas to take you through the next 60 minutes. My co-anchor with me, Rukma Datta. Good morning, Rukma.
A very good morning to you, Anil, and to all our viewers as well. And over the next 1 hour, we'll be bringing you all the news that is likely to shape your day today. And we'll be telling you all the details about the talks that the Delhi Regional Summit, in which leaders from across Central Asia will be participating. China too expressing sending its message there in that regard. Pakistan not attending. All that and more over the next 1 hour. But first, here are the headlines.
India to host the Delhi Regional Security Dialogue on Afghanistan today. The dialogue will review security in the region after recent developments in Afghanistan and will see participation of Iran, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyz Republic, Russia, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan.
Heavy rains continue in Tamil Nadu. IMD issues red alert for several districts till 11th November. Government announces holiday for schools and colleges in 26 districts. 20 teams of NDRF deployed in Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh.
Government appoints Vice Admiral R. Hari Kumar as the next Chief of Naval Staff with effect from 30th of November. Presently, Vice Admiral R. Hari Kumar is the flag officer commanding in chief of the Western Naval Command.
US government agency finds a Trump advisors illegally campaigned while in office. Meanwhile, more of former President Donald Trump's closest aides summoned to give evidence before committee investigating 6 January US Capitol riot.
Cold wave sweeps across many parts of China, bringing heavy snowfall and plunging temperatures. China's Meteorological Administration warns negative impact on the country's energy supply, agriculture and transport infrastructure.
BCCI announces India's squad for T20 International against New Zealand. Rohit Sharma to lead the team while Virat Kohli has been rested. India set to play 3 T20s starting from 17th of November.
ICC Men's T20 World Cup semi-final begins today. England to face New Zealand in the first semi-final in Abu Dhabi. Well, those were the headlines. Now for the stories in detail, starting first up with that big dialogue that's taking place in the national capital and India hosting the Delhi Regional Security Dialogue on Afghanistan. The dialogue will be held at the level of the National Security Advisors or Secretaries of Security Councils. India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval will chair the dialogue. Iran hosted the first 2 editions of the dialogue in 2018 and 19. The dialogue will witness an expanded participation of Iran, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyz Republic, Russia, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan. They would be represented by their respective national security advisors or secretaries of Security Council. The high-level dialogue will review the security in the region arising from the recent developments in Afghanistan. It will discuss about measures to address security challenges and support the people of Afghanistan in promoting peace, security and stability. India has enjoyed close and friendly ties with the people of Afghanistan. It has called for a unified international response to address security and humanitarian challenges facing Afghanistan. The forthcoming meeting is a step in that direction. Indian government sources said it is unfortunate that Pakistan has chosen not to attend the meeting on non-participation of China. The sources said China conveyed to India that it could not take part due to scheduling issues but will continue to have contacts with India on Afghanistan. Meanwhile, National Security Advisor held bilateral talks with his Tajik and Uzbekistan counterparts. Concerns were expressed on the sharp increase in terrorist threats from Afghanistan in recent past. Tajik side highlighted gravity of the situation in Afghanistan. Both India and Uzbekistan emphasized the need for Afghanistan's neighbors to ensure unhindered access to humanitarian assistance to the people of Afghanistan.
Joining us now is our correspondent Amritpal Singh for more details on the Delhi dialogue on Afghanistan. Amritpal, a very good morning to you. Afghanistan to be the focus of the Delhi security dialogue today. Many countries of Central Asia also participating. Take us through the significance and the importance of the discussions for all the stakeholders here.
That's right, Rashma, that the thanks of leading platform important regional players like Russia, Iran, and of course India is hosting this week the Delhi dialogue or security dialogue on Afghanistan, which begins this morning. During this day dialogue, the situation in Afghanistan, we discussed the threat of terrorism, export of radicalized ideology, drug trafficking, gun running, the humanitarian crisis, mass abortion, and the role of Taliban in addressing these issues and how it is engaging its own people and the rest of the world and its implications for regional security will be a sharp focus in the discussions today when the National Security Advisors of these countries meet. As you said, the Indian National Security Advisor met yesterday with Pakistan where the view that yesterday we agreed to the enhanced terror threat from Afghanistan is the reason for the humanitarian crisis.
Okay, Amritpal, thank you and appreciate your joining us. The Afghanistan conference and India will be looking to forge consensus on especially three topics: terror, legitimacy, also when it comes to aid for the people of Afghanistan.
And now moving down south, a heavy downpour wreaked havoc in Tamil Nadu. At least 5 people are reported dead in rain-related incidents across the state so far. 20 teams of the NDRF are being deployed in Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh in the wake of the heavy rain alert issued by the Met Department for the region till the 11th of this month. In the wake of the weather forecast, the state government has announced holidays for schools and colleges in 26 districts of Tamil Nadu due to heavy rains. An orange alert has been issued for 14 districts including Coimbatore, Dindigul, Tirunelveli and Theni. Fishermen have been advised not to venture into the sea up to the 12th of this month. A government helpline number 1913 has been provided for the public to raise rain-related grievances. So heavy rains continue in Tamil Nadu, wreaking havoc in many parts of the state. As we mentioned earlier in that report, we were telling you about Theni among them, Tirunelveli. Also, red alert has been issued.
Well, we've got our correspondent Philip Matthew joining us this morning, giving us an update. Philip, bring us abreast to what's the latest there. The weather department clearly, or the meteorological department clearly indicating that rains are likely to continue over the next 2 to 3 days. What's the situation on ground zero?
Well, Anil, I can tell you that we've been getting reports from the Delta districts of heavy rain, in some places in excess of 20 centimeters. And we are told that the weather system is now gradually moving northward, and it could be approaching the Tamil Nadu coast somewhere between Chennai and Mahabalipuram tomorrow. So that is the indication we are getting from the Met Department. Of course, these forecasts are subject to change, but for the moment there is a red alert that has been issued for the coastal districts, and the district authorities have been advised to take all possible precautions to ensure that people are evacuated from low-lying areas, so that there's no loss to life or damage to, or at least reduce damage to property.
Meanwhile, when we talk about damage so far, what is the state administration saying about any assessment that is likely soon? Are there any teams that have been deputed for the purpose?
Well, for the moment, assessment will have to wait until the this system crosses the shore, because for the moment the focus is on keeping everything in readiness to tackle any contingencies that arise out of the heavy rainfall that is expected over the next couple of days. Assessment of the damage, of course, will follow thereafter. For the moment, disaster response teams are being put in place in almost all the districts that are in the path of this system. We are also told that around 20 NDRF teams are being readied for deployment in parts of Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh, South Andhra Pradesh. So the focus right now is on ensuring that all arrangements are in place to provide speedy relief and rehabilitation once the weather system comes ashore.
Okay, Philip. Also with regards to the Madras High Court, they're coming out strongly, coming out hard, especially on the civic administration in the way in which this particular crisis has been managed. The first half of the year people are crying for water. The second half of the year there is excess water that one sees on the roads and all across Chennai. Also with regards to the politics that's been played between the two regional parties there, is everything being put there purely in terms of rescue and relief, or is there politics being played?
Well, you can't deny the fact that the Madras High Court's strong words yesterday have clearly stirred up the pot here in Tamil Nadu. Both the Chief Minister as well as the Leader of the Opposition have exchanged sharp words over what is being said. In fact, the Chief Minister yesterday went so far as to say that it was the AIDMK which was in power for the last 10 years, which is responsible for the state of affairs. He even pointedly said that there was a smart city project that was being implemented in Chennai, and he said that an inquiry would be ordered to find out where the money had gone, because the smart city project was supposed to take care of things like drainage and tackling problems like flooding, especially in low-lying areas. So there's no doubt whatsoever that this has led to an intensification of a political dispute between the two major parties, the DMK and the AIDMK, and politics unfortunately can't be kept out of it. So the Madras High Court, has basically referred to what's been happening in Chennai over the last 5 to 6 years. So which means they say no lessons have been drawn from the 2015 flood. And when you look at that, it was the AIDMK that was in power for most of that period. So clearly the Chief Minister has been pointing to that. And of course, the fact that the DMK has come to power only in the last few months, that of course is something that will go in favor of the ruling DMK, because they can always claim that they've had this come to power and it would require some time to address these issues.
Well, also with regards to the low pressure that was formed, now it's slowly turning into a depression. How does that change the situation there, especially for the civic authorities as well as the people who are carrying out rescue and relief?
Well, the fact that it's turning into a depression makes it all the more important that rescue and all relief measures are put in place, because the likelihood of heavy spells of rain are only going to increase. A depression is likely to bring spells of rain in excess of 20 centimeters. And it could result in extremely heavy spells of rain in certain areas, pockets of the coast. So that is something that the authorities will have to take into account, because heavy rainfall, heavy to very extremely heavy rainfall can happen in these areas over a short period of time. So the possibility of flooding and of damage to property cannot be ruled out.
And what about people? How are they coping in the sense of going to work? We did hear about local holidays. The last we spoke as well, when there were reports of heavy rains, you said that there would be a closure of schools. But what about appeal to private companies? How far has it worked?
Well, many private companies haven't returned to full working mode ever since the COVID pandemic. So in that sense, they just need to revert back to to virtual mode. So most companies are programmed, especially in the IT sector, are programmed to work in virtual mode. So they have many of them are opted to work from home. For other private companies, of course, many of them have declared a holiday non-essential units. The others have been been advised by the government not to keep their units or their offices open. So at least for the next couple of days. So it remains to be seen, especially if communication links, which have not been affected so far, at least in Chennai. If once communication links and transport links are affected, then of course it could mean that people traveling to work could be seriously hampered.
Okay. Okay, thank you and appreciate you joining us, Philip Matthew, with those updates there on that monsoon mayhem, especially in the southern state of Tamil Nadu, and clearly things not looking good. But let's hope and pray that this particular depression that's formed and people are able to, at least in the next 2 days, things get back to normal there in the southern state. Well, shifting focus now to the Vice Admiral R. Hari Kumar, who's been appointed as the next Chief of the Naval Staff with effect from the afternoon of 30th of November 2021. The present Chief of the Naval Staff, Admiral Karambir Singh, PVSM, AVSM, ADC, retires from service on the 30th of November. Vice Admiral R. Hari Kumar was commissioned on the 1st of January 1983 into the executive branch of the Indian Navy. During his long and extinguished service spanning nearly 39 years, he has served in a variety of command, staff and instructional appointments. Vice Admiral R. Hari Kumar's sea command includes INS Nishank, Missile Corvette, INS Kora and Guided Missile Destroyer INS Ranveer. He also commanded Indian Navy's aircraft carrier INS Virat. He has served as Fleet Operations Officer of the Western Fleet before taking over as FOC in Western Naval Command. He was Chief of Integrated Staff Committee of Headquarters IDS. Vice Admiral R. Hari Kumar has undergone courses at the Naval War College, US Army War College, MAU and Royal College of Defence Studies, UK. Vice Admiral R. Hari Kumar has been decorated with the Param Vishisht Seva Medal, that's PVSM, the Ati Vishisht Seva Medal AVSM and the Vishisht Seva Medal VSM.
And an update now on our COVID-19 vaccination drive. The vaccination coverage has crossed 109 crores. Over 109 crore, 59 lakh vaccine doses have been administered across the country so far. Of the total number of vaccinations, more than 74 crore vaccine doses have been given as the first dose, while over 35 crore doses have been administered as second dose. More than 48.39 lakh vaccine doses were administered till Tuesday 7 p.m.
Union Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia has said that at present 96 countries have agreed to mutual acceptance of vaccination certificates. The 96 countries include Canada, United States, Australia, Russia, United Kingdom, France and Germany. Countries have recognized Indian vaccination certificates of travelers fully vaccinated with Covishield and WHO and nationally approved COVID vaccines.
WHO ने कोवैक्सीन को मान्यता देने के बाद दुनिया में 96 कंट्री ने इंडियन दोनों वैक्सीन कोवैक्सीन और कोविशील्ड को मान्यता दी है और अधिक कंट्रीज से मान्यता मिले, इसलिए हेल्थ मिनिस्ट्री और विदेश मंत्रालय दोनों साथ में मिलकर प्रयास कर रहे हैं.
The health minister expressed happiness over the decision of WHO for including 2 vaccines made in India for emergency use.
WHO ने इमरजेंसी यूज लिस्ट में कुल 8 वैक्सीन को शामिल किया है. हमें खुशी है कि उसमें से कोविशील्ड और कोवैक्सीन 2 भारत की कंपनियों ने बनाई है और वो भारतीय कंपनियों के द्वारा बनी है, भारतीय रिसर्च से बनी हुई एक उसमें से वैक्सीन है, इसलिए हमें विशेष खुशी भी है और गर्व भी है।
Union Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia said that the Union government's commitment to accelerate the pace and expand the scope of COVID-19 vaccination throughout the country has resulted in crossing the 100 crore milestone mark in the administration of doses on the 21st of October 2021. He said the Union government continues to be in communication with the rest of the world so that beneficiaries of the world's largest COVID vaccination program are accepted and recognized, thereby easing travel for education, business and tourism purposes. He added that the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare along with the Ministry of External Affairs is in continuous communication with all countries for mutual recognition of vaccine certificates and WHO and nationally approved vaccines to facilitate hassle-free international travel across countries.
Well, as COVID cases continue to decline in Himachal Pradesh, physical classes for classes 3 to 7 will resume from today. All schools will reopen with all COVID safety protocols. Physical classes in the state will also resume for students of classes 1 and 2 from November 15th onwards. Schools have already resumed for students from classes 8 to 12 in accordance with all COVID-19 protocols. Transport bus services will also be resuming from today with full capacity instead of the earlier 50% norms.
The fourth submarine of Project 75 Yard 11878 was delivered to the Indian Navy on Tuesday. Project 75 includes construction of 6 submarines of Scorpene design. These submarines are being constructed at Mazgaon Dock Shipbuilders Limited, Mumbai under collaboration with MS Naval Group France. Christian Vela, the submarine was launched on the 6th of May 19 and has completed all major harbour and sea trials including weapon and sensor trials despite COVID restrictions. 3 of these submarines are already in commission with the Indian Navy. Submarine construction is an intricate activity as the difficulty is compounded when all equipment are required to be miniaturized and are subject to stringent quality requirements. Construction of these submarines in an Indian yard is yet another step towards Atmanirbhar Bharat. The submarine would soon be commissioned into the Indian Navy and enhance the Indian Navy's capability.
Well, India has called for reform at the UN Security Council for dealing with the complex challenges of today's world. While addressing the UNSC Open Debate, Minister of State for External Affairs Dr. Rajkumar Ranjan Singh said that there is a need to reform the international structure to maintain peace and security. He said that today it is necessary that terrorism in any form is condemned and those who support it in any way should be held accountable.
The spread of terrorism, particularly in the countries facing conflicts, can reverse the effort of the international community. It is therefore imperative that terrorism in any form or manifestation is condemned and those supporting it any manner are held responsible.
Responding to the claims made by a French portal that Rafale jet makers paid 7.5 million euros to middlemen between 2007 and 2012, Union Minister Prahlad Joshi said the BJP does not know about the bribe amount. Hitting out at the Congress, he said that the centre purchased the Rafale fighter jets at the best price from the manufacturer.
उस देश का मीडिया में जो आया है ये बहुत क्लियर कट हो गया कि 2007 एंड 2012 के बीच में जो कुछ भी रिश्वत वगैरह दिया गया है वो उस टाइम पे दिया गया, हमको पता भी नहीं है। हमने इसमें बहुत बार्गेन करके अच्छा बेस्ट ऑफ द बेस्ट प्राइस में हमने राफेल खरीद के, जब बोफोर्स खरीदे तब से लेके इनका मकसद यही था कि सब पे कमीशन ले, मिडल मैन रखो, यही इनका इरादा था। ये तो प्रूव हो गया।
Well, Union Minister of State for Earth Sciences, Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh on Tuesday inaugurated the DBT, APS, CS and T Center of Excellence for Bioresources and Sustainable Development and Rural Technology Demonstration Center at Kimin in Papumpare district of Arunachal Pradesh. Complimenting the people of Arunachal Pradesh for the Center of Excellence for Bioresources and Biotechnology, Dr. Jitendra Singh said that it has become possible due to the focus given by Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the Northeast. Dr. Singh informed that 2 years ago the Union government brought an amendment in the Northeast Council Act that the deprived and neglected section of the society will get special attention and special grants. With this motive for development, the Center for Excellence has been established in this territorial and northeastern state of Arunachal Pradesh so that the benefits reach the tribal areas.
And Srinagar has made it to the coveted list of United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization in Arts and Crafts for the year 2021. The dossier for the UNESCO Creative Cities Network list had been prepared under the Restoration and Strengthening of Livelihoods component of the World Bank-funded Jhelum Tawi Flood Recovery Project. Chief Executive Officer J. Kera, Dr. Said Abid Rashid Shah said, "It is a moment of immense satisfaction for all of us that only 3 cities at the national level have made it to the UNESCO list, and Srinagar is one of them."
It's a celebration time. Srinagar को अब लाया गया है. It has already come in the UNESCO Creative Cities Network में. It's one of the cities of the UNESCO Creative Cities Network. इसमें ये पूरी it's a celebration time for all the stakeholders, including the इसमें Municipal Corporation, Handicrafts Department, the consultants in TAB and DONA, and especially particularly जो artisans हैं, जो यहाँ के handicrafts में जो involved हैं लोग, it's also celebration of them. और हमारे पूरे citizens के लिए it's a time of celebration कि Srinagar has already become a part of UNESCO Creative Cities Network.
Well, time now for us to slip into a short breather. Here on the other side, we'll shift focus from all the national news to all the news international. Stay tuned.
With the world's largest COVID vaccination drive, India is leading the way. As the vaccine reaches every corner of the nation, do not forget the mantra, Dawai bhi, Kadai bhi. Let's continue our fight against COVID-19. Vaccination along with social distancing, sanitization and masks.
Mask up, India!
Put your mask on and cover your nose and be safe.
Mask Up India.
And time now for news from around the world in our next segment, Across the Globe.
Well, international news starting first up with the US government agency on Tuesday saying that 13 senior members of former President Donald Trump's administration violated a law that limits political campaigning by government employees, faulting them for creating a taxpayer-funded campaign apparatus within the White House. In a 65-page report, the US Office of Special Counsel identified instances in which Trump advisors, including Jared Kushner and Kellyanne Conway, using their official authority to promote Trump's 2020 presidential election campaign. OSC said discipline was no longer possible due to Trump administration officials having left office, but said it was issuing the report to highlight enforcement challenges and to deter future violations. OSC is an independent federal watchdog within the US government that investigates violations of the Hatch Act, a law limiting the political participation and speech of federal employees. The report was the culmination of an investigation that began while Donald Trump was in office following his decision to hold the 2020 Republican National Convention at the White House.
And a cold wave is sweeping across many parts of China since the past few days, bringing in heavy snowfalls and plunging temperatures. Strong winds and heavy snow have hit several parts of northern China since early this year, damaging homes and blocking roads. The highest warning signal has been issued in multiple cities as snowfall broke local records in various areas. Large parts of the country, including Beijing, Tianjin, Hebei and Inner Mongolia, experienced this winter's first significant snowfall and rain on Saturday, according to the China Met administration. As per reports, Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region in the north has received 50 centimeters deep snow. The CMA has warned that the cold snap and snowfall could have a negative impact on the country's energy supply, agriculture and transport infrastructure. Experts have also warned that the extreme weather is likely to worsen the situation, as several regions have already been grappling with surging fuel prices and power shortages in recent months. The 2022 Winter Olympic Games will take place a few months from now in Beijing, a city generally considered having dry weather with less snow and rain in early winters, but an incoming storm could bring a potentially significant snowfall to the region with less than 100 days to the Games.
Neighbours Bangladesh and former Chief Justice of Bangladesh Surendra Kumar Sinha has been sentenced to 11 years imprisonment in a case involving embezzlement of 4 crore taka from a bank and money laundering abroad. He was given a sentence of 7 years and a fine of taka 45 lakh or roughly around 39 lakh rupees in charges of money laundering and 4-year jail term for embezzlement of money. The court ordered the seizure of taka 78 lakh of Justice Sinha under the state exchequer. Justice Sinha was appointed as the Chief Justice of Bangladesh in 2015. He had resigned amid a controversy about a judgment of the Supreme Court which struck down the law giving power to Parliament to remove judges of the Supreme Court. 3 months before his retirement, he had left for Australia in October 2017 and subsequently sent in his resignation from abroad.
And the United Nations has said that at least 16 of its staff and dependents in Ethiopia have been detained in the capital Addis Ababa. The UN spokesperson said it is working closely in the war-torn country to get its staff released immediately. The state-appointed Ethiopian Human Rights Commission said it had received many reports of arrests of Tigrayans in the capital, including elders and mothers with children. However, police have denied making ethnically motivated arrests, saying they are only targeting supporters of the rebellious Tigrayan forces fighting the central government. Meanwhile, fighters of Tigray People's Liberation Front and the Oromo Liberation Army were seen in the town of Kemize, that is situated 200 miles away from the Ethiopian capital. Ethiopia had announced a state of emergency for 6 months on the 2nd of November, as Tigrayan forces threatened to capture Addis Ababa. Conflict unfolded in Ethiopia in November 2020 when forces loyal to the TPLF seized military bases in Tigray. In response, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed sent troops to the northern region. Thousands have been killed and more than 2 million have fled their homes in fighting since then.
Well, Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison on Tuesday said that Australia's pathway to zero emissions by 2050 will be driven by Australians' choices, as the government announced plans to boost infrastructure supporting electric vehicles. The Australian government said it will commit $132 million in a new funding to ramp up the rollout of hydrogen refueling and charging stations for electric vehicles, weeks after adopting a net zero emissions target by 2050. The strategy will help lower emissions by over 8 million tons of carbon emissions by 2035, putting 1.7 million electric vehicles on the roads by 2030 and avoiding $166 million of electricity network upgrade costs.
There are a variety of responses and they all have impacts for Australia, and it's important that Australia has a clear plan to be able to deal with those. And our plan for securing Australia's economic recovery very much has our pathway to net zero emissions by 2050 at its heart. And that plan is driven by technology, not taxes. It's driven by backing Australians' choices, not putting mandates on them and telling them what to do.
Electric cars, green shipping lanes and net zero aviation are on the agenda in Glasgow on Wednesday as COP26 aims to galvanize action to significantly lower transport emissions. One of the COP26 goals is to secure global net zero emissions by mid-century and keep 1.5 degree temperature rise within reach. UK presidency of the Global Climate Summit has said that it wants to be the COP that will kickstart the mass market for zero-emission vehicles and hasten transition to cleaner cars. Countries are being asked to come forward with ambitious 2030 emission reduction targets that align with reaching net zero by the middle of the century. To deliver on these targets, the COP26 presidency said that countries will need to accelerate phase out of coal, curtail deforestation and speed up the switch to electric vehicles. Road transport accounts for 10% of global emissions, and its emissions are rising faster than those of any other sector. COP26 is trying to build consensus on how quickly countries must transition to zero-emission vehicles and is strengthening international collaboration to accelerate the change. On Wednesday, global auto players, including ministers, vehicle manufacturers and business leaders, are expected to gather and show their commitment to a zero-emission road transport future by 2040 or earlier.
Well, a quick look at updates on COVID-19 from across the world. The world recorded more than 25 crore 15 lakh cases of COVID-19. The number of recoveries now inching slowly towards the 23 crore mark. 22 crore 77 lakh cases of recoveries from COVID-19. Total deaths, 50 lakh 79,000 deaths being reported world over. United States continues to remain the country most affected by the pandemic right from the beginning to the present day. Cases now over 4 crore 47 lakh and the death toll slowly inching towards that 8 lakh mark. Over 7 lakh 78,000 lives being lost so far in the United States of America.
And the French President Emmanuel Macron said on Tuesday that those aged 65 and above will need to present proof of a COVID-19 booster shot from mid-December for health passes that give access to restaurants, trains and planes to remain valid. The third shot, so far available only for those older than 65 and the vulnerable, from early December also will be available for the 50 to 64 age group, Macron said in a televised address. The health pass is required to enter restaurants and bars, to go to the gym or a conference, and for long-distance train and plane journeys. Macron said Europe was seeing a fifth wave of coronavirus infections, and in France there had been an alarming rise in the number of COVID-19 hospital patients and in the spread of cases. France registered 12,476 new confirmed infections on Tuesday, the highest level since September 8th, the Health Ministry data showed.
A campaign has been launched since the end of the summer for all over 65 years and the most vulnerable, and now we need to speed it up. If you were vaccinated more than 6 months ago, I can call you to protect yourself by making an appointment now with a vaccination center, your doctor or your pharmacist. This booster can be done at the same time as the flu shot. From December 15, you will need a proof of the booster shot to extend the validity of your health pass.
Health workers in England will have to be vaccinated against COVID-19 by April 1st, Health Minister Sajid Javid said on Tuesday, making it a mandatory condition of employment for those on the front line of the National Health Service. The move sees England follow the likes of France, Italy and some US states in ordering healthcare workers to get vaccinated. Sajid Javid said there would be exemptions for compulsory vaccinations for people who can't get vaccinated for medical reasons and for those who don't have face-to-face contacts with patients. The move follows a similar decision to make COVID-19 vaccines compulsory for home care workers, which comes into force on Thursday.
I have concluded that all those working in the NHS and social care will have to be vaccinated. We must avoid preventable harm and protect patients in the NHS, protect colleagues in the NHS and, of course, protect the NHS itself.
And time now to take a look at what's trending on the World Wide Web in our next segment, the Web News Review.
Well, we've got our colleague Vikas Sarthi waiting by. Vikas, good morning. Nice to see you smiling. Over to you.
Good morning, Adil. And the first story which we have seen in most of the websites and newspapers is related to the Afghanistan conference which is being organized by India this time. Most of the websites have reported that how Delhi security meeting is going to be very important for the future of Afghanistan. More than around 7 countries are participating in this multilateral meeting, except China and Pakistan. Most of the regional countries are participating, and they will discuss the issues related to the terror funding and the drug smuggling. Apart from India will also raise its concern about Pakistan's conduct that India is trying to send at least 50,000 metric ton of wheat to Afghanistan for humanitarian help, but Pakistan is not allowing Indian trucks to enter in its land. So that issue will also be raised by India in this meeting. The second story is related to the COVID vaccine. Now the 2 vaccines of India, like Covaxin and Covishield, has been accepted and approved by more than 96 countries, and the list of these countries can be obtained from CoVIN app. So the people are traveling to these countries will not have to face any trouble getting visa of these 96 countries. The next story is from the Supreme Court. Yesterday, Supreme Court agreed with the government stand on the widening of Char Dham Road. Some of the NGOs had approached Supreme Court against this project. They said that this is against the this may be go against the environment of Himalayan region. But yesterday, Supreme Court was also seen agreed with the government's contention that this is very important to a project, keeping in view of the activities of China across the border with India. So Supreme Court was of the view that can be ignored the national security and defense on the issue of environment. So for the first time, Supreme Court agreed with government stand on this project. The next story is about Padma Awards. Most of the websites have reported different personalities who have been conferred Padma Awards, and Tribune has carried the story of Muhammad Sharif, who has cremated 25,000 unidentified bodies. So different websites have reported about different personalities who have been conferred Padma Awards yesterday. The last story is from Maharashtra, where Narcotics Control Bureau officer Samir Wankhedere's family yesterday met Governor Bhagat Singh Koshyari, and they complained about the alleged witch hunt of the family members of Samir Wankhede, and they said that the members of his family are being attacked for no particular reason. He was doing only his job, and now all of his family members are being attacked by some ministers and some leaders of particular political party. That's all for now today. Back to you, Anil.
Well, thank you, Vikas, for that quick and small update there from the Web News Review. Well, moving on to our next segment now, and we'll get you the latest from the field of sports.
In cricket, India's squad for the upcoming T20 series against New Zealand has been announced. The All India Senior Selection Committee of the BCCI picked a 16-member squad for the T20 series against New Zealand. Rohit Sharma has been appointed as the new captain of the Indian team. India is set to play 3 T20 matches starting from the 17th of November. The opening match will be played at Jaipur, while the other 2 will be played at Ranchi and Kolkata. The committee also picked the India A squad for the South Africa tour, scheduled to start from the 23rd of November in Bloemfontein. The team will play 3 4-day matches during the tour.
Well, the first semi-final of the ICC T20 World Cup takes place today when England takes on New Zealand in Abu Dhabi. England qualified for the semi-final after topping the Group 1 points table. England won 4 out of the 5 matches and earned 8 points. New Zealand finished on the second spot with 8 points in Group 2.
And time now for today's Saga of Freedom. Every day we bring you a special story on our glorious freedom struggle, in which we recall the great deeds of our freedom fighters and heroes. In today's Saga of Freedom, we talk about the East India Company and pay tribute to Surendranath Banerjee.
On 10th of November 1698, Calcutta was sold to the East India Company. Having started trading in Bengal as early as 1633, the East India Company wanted to obtain more rights of trade in the region.
In 1682, Hosea Child was the governor of the English East India Company in London. Hosea Child was also the governor of Bombay. He sent William Hedges to Bengal in order to obtain an imperial farman. Due to the arrogance of the British, Emperor Aurangzeb broke off the negotiations. After that, Hosea Child decided to wage a war against Aurangzeb.
In 1685, the British sent out 12 warships to seize Chittagong. But fate took an interesting turn. During their voyage, the ships were dispersed due to strong winds. Some ships, instead of steering for Chittagong, entered the Hooghly. The arrival of such a formidable expedition alarmed the Mughals. The Mughal army offered negotiations, but the British in return strengthened their fleet and bombarded Baleshwar.
After that, Emperor Aurangzeb issued orders for the complete annihilation of the British possessions. In 1689, after a year of resistance, the English surrendered. In utter humiliation, the company sent envoys to Aurangzeb's camp to plead for a pardon. The company's envoys had to prostrate themselves before the emperor.
As a result, the company moved their factory about 20 miles down the Hooghly River to Sultanati. This settlement gradually extended to Kalikata and Govindpur. Kalikata became the headquarters of the East India Company in Bengal. Kalikata was renamed Calcutta by the British. And on 10th of November 1698, the company actually purchased the 3 towns of Sultanati, Govindpur and Kalikata.
Fortification of the town was completed in 1706. Known as Fort William, the settlement grew rapidly, and in 1707 it was raised to the status of a presidency. Kolkata later emerged as the pioneer center of Indian nationalism.
Today is also the birth anniversary of Surendranath Banerjee. Born in Calcutta on 10th of November 1848, Surendranath Banerjee was a major figure in Indian nationalism during the late 19th and early 20th century. A believer in moderate means, he was deeply committed to achieving constitutional objectives by constitutional methods.
Upon completion of his early education in India, Surendranath Banerjee went to London. In 1869, Surendranath became the second Indian to succeed in the Indian Civil Service competitive examination.
He was appointed to a post in Sylhet, in present-day Bangladesh, in his homeland. However, in 1874, he was dismissed for a minor and apparently inadvertent procedural error. Banerjee felt he had been discriminated against because he was an Indian. Upon returning to Calcutta in 1875, he embarked on a political career to organize Indian public opinion and protect the rights of Indians. To achieve this, he founded the Indian Association in 1876.
The Indian Association had set the stage for a more practical demonstration of the newly awakened sense of political unity of India. The first session of the Indian Association was held in Calcutta in December 1883. The session was attended by more than 100 delegates from different parts of India.
Banerjee was active in teaching for 37 years and considered it his chief vocation, though inseparable from his political work. Surendranath Banerjee took a chair in English literature at the Metropolitan Institution, now Vidyasagar College, and subsequently taught at the Ripon College, now Surendranath College.
In 1878, he became a proprietor of an English-language newspaper, The Bengali. through which he espoused liberal causes for nearly half a century. He also played a prominent role in the Indian National Congress from the time of its founding in 1885. He was the president of the Indian National Congress in 1895 and 1902.
Banerjee was a believer in moderate means of political agitation, meetings, petitions, and legislative action. His grasp of the English language and his skills as an orator and debater made him an outstanding public speaker. He reached the peak of his political career in opposing the partition of Bengal in 1905. During these years, he was often called the uncrowned King of Bengal.
He was elected to the Reformed Legislative Council of Bengal in 1921, knighted in the same year, and held office as Minister for Local Self-Government from 1921 to 1924. He was defeated at the polls in 1923. He breathed his last at Barrackpore on August the 6th, 1925.
Well, Chhath Puja festival is being celebrated with religious fervor and gaiety in Bihar, Jharkhand and eastern part of Uttar Pradesh. Devotees who have started 36 hours fasting will pay offerings to the setting sun this evening. Chhath will conclude after offering peace offerings to the rising sun tomorrow morning. President Ramnath Kovind on Tuesday extended greetings to fellow citizens on the eve of Chhath Puja. In a message, the President said, on the occasion of Chhath Puja, I extend my warm greetings and best wishes to all our fellow citizens living in India and abroad. Chhath is celebrated on the 6th day of the month of Kartik in the Vikram Samvat. It is said those who perform Chhath with full devotion, their desires are fulfilled. During celebrations, people thank the sun, the god of energy and life force, for sustaining the life on earth.
And time now to take a look at today's weather report and the weather forecast. The satellite picture shows a low pressure area over central parts of South Bay of Bengal. There's a well-marked low pressure area over southeast and adjoining southwest Bengal, with the associated cyclonic circulation extending above mean sea level. It is likely to concentrate into a depression during the wee hours over southwest Bay of Bengal. Isolated heavy to very heavy rains with isolated extremely heavy falls likely over Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and Karaikal from the 10th to the 11th, and over coastal Andhra on the 11th of November. Heavy to very heavy rains at isolated places likely over Kerala and Mahe. From today onwards, squally wind speeds reaching 40 to 50 kilometers, gusting to 60 kilometers per hour likely to prevail over southeast Bay of Bengal. The well-marked low pressure area over central parts of Arabian Sea now seen as a low pressure area over central and adjoining South Arabian Sea. Squally weather very likely over southeast Arabian Sea. Rain and thunder showers observed at a few places over Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and Karaikal and Kerala and Mahe, and at isolated places over Lakshadweep as well. Time now to take a look at temperatures recorded across the country.
Well, that's all we have time for in this edition of Breakfast News. But remember that fight against COVID-19 continues. Follow those simple steps. You know, in this festive season, that's very important. We need to follow those simple steps where we don't drop our guard in that fight against that. It's not a trade-off that one can do. If you've got yourself vaccinated, I've heard many people say this, if you got yourself vaccinated, you know, we can drop our guard. Remember that we could all end up paying a huge price for that. So please don't do that. Please follow those simple steps, and remember, if you have still not got yourself vaccinated, go ahead, get yourself a jab, because if you do that, you do not only yourself a good, but also the society at large a big favor. And if you and I get vaccinated, we all stand a better chance to see a better tomorrow.
And as we go, we leave you with these images from Arunachal Pradesh, where a cultural event was organized on the occasion of the inauguration of the Center of Excellence for Bioresources and Sustainable Development. Take a look and enjoy. Namaskar.
Bye-bye. Take care.